Let's talk all about AI in business. It's hosted by Brent Muller. Welcome to the Future Proof Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the latest episode of the Future Proof Podcast. I'm your host, Brent Muller. I'm joined today by Tom Rauen of tshirts.com. Hey, Tom, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So, Tom, we always start with the founder's journey. So tell us a little bit about your background and getting to start in 1-800.
Yeah, so I was always kind of do t-shirts as a side hustle in high school and college. So naturally, after graduating from college, I started a t-shirt business in my parents' basement, and that was 20 years ago. So since then, we've gone through a lot of the entrepreneur journey of growing pains, moving locations. Pretty quickly, I outgrew the parents' basement.
I would bet.
Our first location, and then we outgrew that, and then to another one. So now we've got a pretty big production facility and factory here where we're screen printing, embroidery, and producing all the goods in-house and doing branded apparel for everything from little leagues to pro sports teams to small businesses all the way up to Fortune 500 companies.
That's crazy. That's fantastic. You run the gamut. So you do from the small orders to the massive orders.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us a little bit about the trials and tribulations and the wins of growing 1-800 t-shirts, right? Because I would imagine, from the back end, the things people don't see, right? The back end logistics challenge, changing locations, all the stuff you kind of mentioned. Just kind of highlight some of that stuff for the audience.
Yeah, for sure. I think the hardest part, we've been growing consistently at an average rate of 20% a year for 20 years in a row. So
that's phenomenal.
That comes with its challenges. So we're constantly reinventing ourselves, innovating, trying to, figure out how to skate to where the puck is going. And I think one of the biggest challenges with that consistent growth is updating your systems and processes and making sure they're able to handle the growth. And then having the staff and the team to, be able to handle it as well. And being able to, embrace change and embrace that growth, because some people just like to stay with the status quo, and we're always pushing the needle, pushing the envelope of what's new. How can we not only push our business forward, but how can we innovate and push the industry forward as well?
That's amazing. That's a phenomenal attitude too. I love your outlook on that. So what would you say over the last 20 years have been your biggest hurdles to overcome? Has it been the staff? Has it been the logistics, the change in the industry? What do you think it would be?
Yeah, definitely the staff. You've got to have the right team to make it happen, and knowing when to have that staffing level right. So the current staff isn't overpressured and overworked, and also not being understaffed to the point where, it's just really tough on them. And if you're overstaffed and you've got a bloated payroll, that really affects the bottom line profit as well. So I think finding that balance with the growth is probably the most difficult thing as a business owner.
Yeah, I would imagine. All right, let's talk about the positive, right? You're growing 20% year on year, which is phenomenal. Kudos. Tell us how things have changed over the last 20 years and how you've taken advantage of some of those new opportunities.
Yeah, I think just coming into different markets. We've done a few acquisitions, so we've acquired some smaller companies, and that's opened up, some new markets, some additional customers that, already had relationships with the previous businesses that we acquired. And so those, were helping on that growth. And then just constantly finding new ways to get attention, put out content, expand the word of mouth and other marketing stunts and different marketing things to, be top of mind. Because when someone needs to order promotional products or custom branded apparel, just because we're calling them today doesn't mean they need it tomorrow. Sometimes it might be that sales cycle might be 3 months, 6 months, or a year down the line. And so it's staying top of mind and keeping those touch points throughout the year and being relevant, whether that's showcasing what we're doing, awards we're winning, new products that are coming out, or different marketing ideas that can help them, elevate their brand and get it out there. Everything from the custom apparel to the promotional products, enveloping all that in as we're just kind of an extension of another business's marketing department and using that to help us grow.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And so you started out in t-shirts. How has the product line evolved over the years?
Yeah, so it continues to evolve. I think the materials of the shirts and also the different product lines that are available. So you've got your generics or your basics that, are non-name brand, but now we're able to offer Nike and Under Armour, North Face, and, even Carhartt and a lot of name brands that you would see, at the retail level. So when you're able to co-brand and align your business and your brand with, the brand likeness of Carhartt and North Face and what their business values are, and if those align with yours and you can adopt those and co-brand together, that just like makes a really big impact, and it's high quality stuff that's going to last for a long time.
No doubt about it. I didn't know you could do that. And that to me opens up, I'm hoping everybody watching this in similar spaces, whether you're in e-com or you're at retail or you're, in retail and you deliver to stores. What Tom's talking about is kind of cracking the code of bringing, mega brands to customization. To me, that's a huge innovation. I didn't even know. I mean, I've seen it, but I just didn't know that was kind of commonplace. And maybe it's not, right? Is it? I mean, is that? Do your competitors do that now?
It's been emerging. We've got exclusive access to a few of the major brands where we're allowed to do that. I think a lot of these brands saw their strategy change as well. So a lot of them were doing, a wholesale retail like component of it. And then with the changes, between Amazon and the other .coms and whatever else, they had to, some of them have adopted a direct to consumer mentality. So now they've got the direct to consumer arm plus that wholesale going to retail side. So this is just kind of another arm of their business to be able to reach more customers and also, see that brand out there, co-brand it with other businesses, and at volume. So, it's not like the direct to consumer channel where it's like they're selling one jacket or one sweatshirt at a time. When we're ordering, we might be ordering 50, 100, 500 or 1,000 Carhartt jackets or North Face.
Right. It's a totally different sale, right? Exactly.
Yeah. So we're able to get, really pump some volume out there as well.
No, it's fantastic. And so for everybody listening to this podcast, I think one of the things Tom's hitting on is we always talk about the gradual shift of the vertical market. And when I say the vertical market, it's when you own everything from top to bottom, to the horizontal market, right? Where you basically, and again, this has been for years, you focus on your core things of your business and you partner or hire the expertise, right, to expand the horizontal model. What Tom's talking about, which I love, is that you're taking it to a whole nother level, which is a partnership with these mega brands. And that's where their strategy changes and aligns with your strategy changing and align, and they come together. So it's like that next evolution. So for everyone out there that's thinking about how do I open up new markets, Tom just gave you a great idea into how you can expand in things you didn't think were possible. So Tom, thank you for that. So now let's talk about how this whole market has shifted, because we've seen it. You see the cheap guys coming in. You see, the consolidation in the market. What are you seeing are the biggest drivers to changing this market over the next 1 to 2 years?
Yeah, the biggest is print on demand and, the ability, I call it the Amazon effect. Everyone's expectations have adjusted. What used to be maybe a 2 or 3 week turnaround time. Now, they want that product in their hand in, 2 to 3 days or maybe 2 to 3 hours, right? So the faster we can get it out, the better. So we're setting up our systems and processes where we can print on demand, where an order comes into us at noon. And in some cases, we're printing it within an hour or two and shipping it out. We're setting up company stores for various companies, so they don't have to house inventory. They don't have, an HR or front desk person kind of like managing and figuring out like what, swag stuff and what company apparel they need to have there available for new employees or gifts or whatever else. They basically can go to the website, put in an order, and we're printing and fulfilling one at a time instead of these big bulk orders. We offer both, but we're seeing a lot more people just wanting that ease of use, and especially remote workers and whatnot. They get a new employee comes on, they go in the company store, they order a polo or a jacket or a quarter zip or something like that. We ship it directly to their house without the HR person.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it takes it off the plate of
You've
the HR.
changed company onboarding, employee onboarding, right? Right there.
Yeah, yes, 100%.
So another one trend that we keep hearing in the retail industry, and we got it from some of our back-end providers that work with companies like yourself, is that we heard the stat, and I don't know if it's true, but 30% of everything being sold in Asia is live selling. And that trend is going to make its way into the US. What are you hearing about live selling? And do you think that's something that will impact the industry?
Yeah, I think so in a way. I mean, definitely on the retail side of things, on this custom wholesale, side of the industry.
Probably a lot less, right?
Probably a lot less because there is some things that go in it, but we are seeing advances in technology where, with AI, people are able to upload their logo, or I can give AI, a list of websites. It's pulling all these company logos in, doing the full mockups on hats, jackets, notebooks.
That's really cool.
All that stuff. So we're able to put together presentations for companies to visualize and really see like, hey, this is a marketing package you can use. This is a new onboarding package for new employees. These are some items you could use at an upcoming trade show, all this sort of stuff. So really it's putting these tools and helping automate it a lot quicker. And people are very visual. One, they want to like see and touch and feel everything, but two, they want to visualize it. So just like, a crappy
That's a big hurdle you're helping them get over, right? That visualization.
So once you can visually really see it mocked up with your logo, with the colors all in there, and we're able to do it at scale with the technology of AI, that's just really progressing that.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I love it. So as you look down the road, do you see some of the things that we were talking about before the podcast? Do you see consolidation in the industry? Do you see, like, what changes do you really see are going to impact and that you can kind of crystal ball a little bit?
Yeah, there's definitely, there's some big players in the industry, billion-dollar companies, that have a lot of, financial backing. There's some big private equity owned companies. Amazon is in the space. Anytime they're in the space,
everybody's in this.
There's disruption that's going to be there. So, I see the automation of some of the production, some of the back end art, and, some of the other things that take up a lot of time. But at the end of the day, there still has to be a human component and a human element too, because anyone can just put a logo onto a t-shirt or put a logo on a hat, but there's the creative side of it that is matching up that logo with the right product, the right colors, and then taking it and adding design elements to it beyond just the logo. So it's not just a walking billboard, but making it look good, making it appealing, and helping deliver a message and that brand message that the company's trying to deliver with custom apparel. So we can automate some, we can expedite the timeline, but at the end of the day, it still takes a human behind it to have that relationship and help with the creative side of it. So I don't think AI quite has the power to have the creativity that a human does on, putting together multiple aspects.
I totally agree. Tom, what we call that, we've coined the term here. And again, I think I give Alexander from Smith OS the credit on this. We call them digital coworkers. AI can really help your humans do their job faster and better because they're like a co-pilot, but they are not to replace. I totally agree. Relationships and humans are the key. It's, how do we make them, more productive and get the manual and menial tasks out of their way? How can AI replace that kind of thing? So another aspect that I wanted to ask you about is in your production, right? When you get these huge orders, are you leveraging automation within the warehouse? Is that are there areas there that you look at like RPA and that kind of stuff?
We haven't yet, but we're, watching some of the big manufacturers, what kind of equipment they're putting out and, how we can automate that. Is there robotics? Is there other things that can help, really automate any of the processes? And whether it's the front of the house or the back of the house on the production side, as you said, AI is, the coworker that, you got to look at as a tool that you're going to utilize for that. I think one of the big shifts or metrics, we're going to look at, and every industry will probably see it, is, the cost of the revenue per employee, and, bottom line profit per employee, right? And
Yep.
if you look at the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing companies in the US, you can always see the companies that are really leveraging it even already versus the ones that aren't. And I think we continue to see companies scale up, and double, triple, even quadruple in size, maybe even 10x with just adding a few extra workforce. So I think that's a big difference. And with baby boomers going out, and retiring, and less people entering the workforce, it's actually a very important time for this to happen, because
Absolutely. Talent crunch, right?
Continue to grow without that extra workforce needed.
Yeah. You have to, right? Because we're going to have a talent crunch, right? Like you said, the dynamics of the boomers going out and less people coming in. All right. So let's talk about, so you see this, do you see any other AI data automations, anything else that you see impacting the industry over the next 1 to 2 years? You already gave some great examples, but is there anything else you want to add there?
Yeah. So, first and foremost, it will be the artwork and the mock-ups and being able to, produce that really fast. Second, I think just analyzing, the data within the company, of what your best products are, sizes, helping people, make that decision. Sometimes people will call up and say, hey, we're doing an event, we need 1,000 shirts. What sizes should I have? Well, we can grab data from all previous events of that size and know how many smalls,
Great idea.
extra larges they need. It's not
Yeah.
much of a guessing game. And then just diving into some of the sales analytics, understanding who, if you're niching down, understanding who that target demographic is and how to best work your marketing messaging to attract the right clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, Tom, really, really good insights. A couple of things I didn't even think of, which is, and you're right, the data and the insights to be able to get ahead of things, but also analyze and improve, right? We're always about continuous improvement. I think AI crunching data is a huge step. All right. So I said I was going to ask you a few other things. One, what has Tom, the CEO and founder, used AI for in other areas, right? For yourself, whether it's personally or just to make yourself more productive?
Yeah, I really I'm in replacing Google search. So I'm typing in whatever I'm doing or looking for and getting that feedback, but also just inputting a lot of stuff in, because ChatGPT is, building upon past conversations. I'm letting it see all these things that are happening. And because there's multiple things happening and going, your brain doesn't always see and put all the pieces together. And so
Definitely.
I think ChatGPT as my second brain, that when I'm bogged down or, I've got a lot of other things on my mind, I can be asking questions of things we were working on 6 months ago or 3 months ago or whatever, and get clarification on that, if we're heading in the right direction, if what I'm thinking is accurate or, flawed by emotion. And because ChatGPT doesn't have emotion. So on our day-to-day, we're making decisions in the business. And sometimes those are flawed depending on the circumstances that might be happening at home, other stuff that you're dealing with outside the business. And so you can always rely on, if ChatGPT has the information and has a history of information that you're constantly feeding it, it will make the logical decision and make sure that you're not doing it on emotion. So it's a nice for that as well.
So I'll give you a cool tip and remind me after the podcast, I'll send you some stuff. One of the cool things you can do along the lines of what you're talking about is, and we've had several companies on that have built these, but basically you can build a GPT, right, that does exactly what you just talked about in ChatGPT, but it also allows you to choose other models like Claude and Grok and see if you get different responses. That has become very powerful, because what we've realized is that the way the algorithms are trained is a little different, and some work better for other use cases than others. So that's your next level, right? Your next step as you evolve that. But you're on the right track for sure, Tom, in what you're doing, because and again, you'll see some of our prompts coming out that we have gotten from some of our interviews. They're phenomenal. People are very, very creative. And when you get great with the prompts, you realize that, and you're kind of scratching the surface of what it can give you back, and it's just going to keep unlocking more and more. And the best part is there's people out there educating founders and CEOs like yourself to leverage it in higher and better uses, and then you can teach it to the team. Really kudos to you for doing that, because you're right. The more you feed it in the same what we call brain, the smarter it gets about all of your history and the better output you get. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So magic wand time. All right. I give you a magic wand, and you're gonna hurdle that 20% normal year-over-year growth. What are you using the magic wand for? Is it unlocking a new market? Is it staff? What is that big thing that you'd like to enable?
That excels the growth and condenses the timeline. So staff is number one. That's been the hardest part of the equation since day one, is finding the right people, getting them in the right seats, and putting the plan into play.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're going to continue to hire, I'll send you another one. I interviewed Prem from Humanly.io. Definitely helps with staffing. Very cool thing. And that's the best part about getting to talk to smart people like yourself and Prem and others, is how many connections we can make and shorten research and the trial and error phase. And that's what the whole podcast is about. Thank you for spending the time with us today. Tell everybody how to start to order some t-shirts and other apparel.
Yeah, very easy. Just go to 1-800-tshirts.com. You can follow us on socials at 1-800-tshirts, or simple call phone number 1-800.
I love it. And there's not a single person that we have had on the podcast or that listens to this podcast that doesn't need apparel and swag from Tom's company. So I encourage everybody to reach out to Tom after this podcast. Tom, thank you for spending the time with us. I can't wait to get this up and live, because yours is one of the easiest for us all to leverage.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, that ends this episode of the Future Proof Podcast. I'm your host, Brent Muller. I'm joined by Tom Brown from 1-800-tshirts.com. Tom, thank you.
If you're ready to embrace change and lead with innovation, be sure to subscribe and never miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Future Proof Podcast.